was just the holiday spirit coursing through my body and into my heart and up into my red and green brain.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the worst advertisements that aged like milk.
I used to fly around quite a bit, I took a lot of unnecessary chances.
Number 10, Lance Armstrong Ad, Nike.
This is my body, and I can do whatever I want to it.
Accusations surrounding Lance Armstrong's use of performance-enhancing drugs began as early as 1999, with European papers questioning the cyclist's ability to complete the Tour de France so effortlessly. America largely dismissed these accusations, however, with many companies publicly standing by the Texan-born athlete.
The critics say I'm arrogant. A doper.
This included Nike, who spotlighted Armstrong in their advertising throughout the 2000s. Some of these ads even directly referenced the ongoing scandal, with Armstrong retaliating against these allegations. It's hard not to cringe at the sarcasm now that we know exactly what else the athlete was on.
One of Lance Armstrong's closest teammates, Tyler Hamilton, who was on the U.S. postal team that won the Tour de France, now claims there was an extensive doping program designed to keep Armstrong winning.
Number 9. More doctors smoke Camels. Camel. 10 out of 10 modern doctors probably agree this Camel ad campaign was a bad idea.
Time out for many men of medicine usually means just long enough to enjoy a cigarette.
The series of print and television advertisements were made at a time when health experts were still on the fence about the negative impacts of cigarettes. But their message has now aged so poorly that it may as well have been from another reality.
I'd walk a mile for a Camel.
Even at the time of airing, the ads were, at best, morally dubious, as it's been alleged that Camel may have provided the doctors featured with free cigarettes prior to polling them. Unfortunately, pro-smoking ads like these used to be the norm, so much so that even Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble once acted as spokesmen for the deadly vice.
I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
Number 8. Maria Bamford Christmas ads. Target.
We all know there is no I in team, but there is an I in win and in Christmas.
Many celebrities cut their teeth in the industry by appearing in commercials. As a young boy, Leonardo DiCaprio could once be seen selling bubble yum, while Courtney Cox featured in an 80s commercial for Tampax.
This is a chunk of super soft bubble yum bubblegum. This is a loud thumping tube pumping boombox.
In 2009, Maria Bamford joined the ranks in a series of ads for Target's Christmas sale. Although the actress had been working in the comedy scene for a decade prior, the ads helped to introduce her name and face to the average American.
The Target 2-day sale starts soon, and I feel like I have OCD, obsessive Christmas disorder.
This fame turned out to be a double-edged sword, as Bamford grew to regret performing in such an aggressively consumerist ad campaign. She would even go on to feature the situation and its impact on her mental health in her autobiographical series, Lady Dynamite.
Don't you love shopping for dog supplies at Checklist? Me too.
Number 7. The Noid. Domino's.
Here's some news the Noid won't like. New Domino's Pan Pizza.
In an effort to set themselves apart from other pizza chains, Domino's invented the Noid, a claymation supervillain bent on destroying pizza. They claim that you could avoid the Noid, or anything bad that could happen to your pizza, by ordering from their restaurant.
Have you ever been frustrated because the Noid ruined your pizza?
The slogan, while clever, got under the skin of Kenneth Lamar Noid in Georgia, who erroneously believed the ad campaign was about him. In Chamblee, Georgia, on January 30th, 1989, he held 2 Domino's employees hostage for over 5 hours, demanding $100,000 from the restaurant chain's headquarters.
A man with the last name Noid took a Domino's hostage, believing the Noid was created to mock him. His demands? Free pizza, a white limo, and the end of the Noid in Domino's advertising.
The pizza chain claims that the situation had no impact on the ad campaign, but nowadays it's hard to see the character and not think of the alarming crime it unintentionally inspired. Number 6. The Pole Vaulter. AT&T.
Imagine a world where you could do anything
Back in 1996, no one could have dreamed this then innocuous AT&T ad for the Summer Olympics would one day be controversial. Sure, it doesn't quite make sense that a commercial highlighting an event happening in Georgia is set in New York, but the concept itself is an interesting one.
Some athletes are born great.
A pole vaulter runs up to a collection of tall buildings and then vaults between the Twin Towers. You can probably see where this is going. Not every pre-9/11 depiction of the Twin Towers is so disturbing, but the visual of the vaulter falling here ends up being a little too reminiscent of the imagery that would be front-page news just 5 years later.
And some athletes are forced into greatness by 50,000 screaming maniacs.
Number 5. I'm Batman. Snickers.
I'm Batman.
Head trauma is no laughing matter. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, has been studied extensively in athletes, particularly football players, and can cause everything from deafness to dementia. Unfortunately, it seems Snickers didn't get the memo. In the 90s, before the average person had become aware of the serious nature of CTE, the candy company ran an ad in which a football player gets hit in the head and starts to believe he's Batman.
I'm Batman.
Sit down.
You don't understand. I'm Batman.
I do.
He eats a Snickers, but it doesn't seem to help, as the ad ends with him heading off to the Batcave. It's admittedly a silly premise once thought ideal for a Super Bowl commercial, but watching it today, it's a little harder to laugh along.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Number 4. James Dean Driving PSA.
We asked Jimmy over today because he's a racing man himself. A real one, not a crazy one.
In order to promote upcoming films, Warner Brothers decided to bring their biggest stars to the small screen, having frank and personal discussions with host Gig Young. One of these segments saw James Dean promoting Giant and Rebel Without a Cause while talking about the dangers inherent in drag racing.
People say racing is dangerous, but I'll take my chances on the track any day than on a highway.
He discusses his own history with racing as a legitimate sport, saying he'll take his chances any day as long as it's on a track and not a highway. The segment ends with the star looking at the camera, telling audiences to drive safely because one of the lives they could save might be his.
Take it easy driving. The life you might save might be mine.
Shortly thereafter, Dean lost his life in a fatal highway car crash. Number 3. Debunking opioid myths. Purdue Pharma. Some old commercials make you cringe. This one set its company up for lawsuits.
Some patients may be afraid of taking opioids because they're perceived as too strong or addictive. But that is far from actual fact.
In 1998, Purdue Pharma boldly told Americans not to be afraid of opioids, claiming that less than 1% of patients develop substance use disorder on the drug. They also downplayed its adverse effects.
A new study out shows there may be gross underreporting of opioid-related deaths, meaning the opioid crisis may be far worse than initially thought.
Much of the clip is at best misinformed and at worst deceitful. At high doses, opioids can slow your breathing and heart rate to the point of death. And the sensations felt while taking them have been known to kickstart dependency in many individuals.
The word epidemic gets used a lot these days, but it may be the case that that word is not strong enough to describe this country's recent surge in opioid addiction.
Number 2. Fogle goes to court. Subway.
Hi, I'm Jared the Subway guy, and this is my story.
Tying your brand to any one person always has the potential for disaster, whether they're a pre-established celebrity or an average Joe. Nonetheless, Subway took a risk with Jared Fogle, a man who rose to prominence after an article in Men's Health detailed his significant weight loss while eating their food.
Here is Jared Fogle. You may have seen him on the news.
What initially seemed like an advertising match made in heaven slowly devolved into a PR nightmare when the spokesman was arrested for possession of illegal materials involving minors.
Mr. Fogle, no denying your body's changed over the years. Yes. Sir, this committee must know, did you ingest anything that helped create this change in your physique?
Of the many ads Fogle made with the company, the worst aged by far is one that sees the Indiana native being questioned in a courtroom. Suffice it to say, you don't want customers thinking about the real reason Fogle eventually faced a judge. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Steve Irwin's Antivenom. FedEx. Known for his uniquely entertaining animal series, The Crocodile Hunter, Steve Irwin was a big name for any wildlife lover growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s. So it hit hard when the Australian zookeeper ultimately met an early end doing what he loved best.
I realised that the passion, the enthusiasm, the excited love of his subject, Australian wildlife, none of it was an act. When the cameras stopped rolling, Steve didn't.
In 2006, while filming an educational segment in the Great Barrier Reef, Irwin was fatally struck by the barb of a stingray.
People ask me, how come my Toyotas can take so much of a beating and just keep bouncing back?
Just 6 years prior, he had made a commercial with FedEx, which could now be read as an eerily prescient warning. The dark ad depicts Irwin being bitten by what he calls the most venomous snake in the world, and then collapsing when an antivenom is not delivered in time.
Luckily, we've had the Antivenom sent from America via FedEx. In my line of work, if you're not absolutely sure, you're absolutely dead. Oh, crikey!
Did we miss any advertisements that have become hard to watch with hindsight? Let us know in the comments.
Doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?"
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.